Don't test me. Don't test me. Test me. Don't test me. Don't test me.
Welcome to the Rubicon Unleashed Podcast. My name is Ruben, aka Rubicon, and I'm here with my next guest, a legend in Orlando, Terrance Bunting, aka TB. Thank you for making time coming here, man. I know I've been trying to set this up for a while, but I know we've been having busy schedules and stuff like that. But let's talk about your career before flag. Like, we all know you're a flag. We all know you play flag football for a lot of years, but where did you come from? I don't think you were raised here in Florida. Where did you come from?
First and foremost, thank you. Appreciate you having me on. Definitely always for the cause. We homies, so we go way back.
Way back.
Yeah. I'm originally from South Carolina, born and raised. Before flag, it was all the sports: football, basketball, track. Mm-hmm. So I was a 3-sport athlete throughout all my youth. And then I was a 4-sport athlete in college. Actually got picked up to play handball. We actually have a national championship. So.
All right, yeah. Shout out to that.
Yeah,
yeah, man.
Benedict, yes, national champs.
Yes.
So, and then from there, transitioned after my college years. I did 2 years of semi-pro. In the midst of that, one of my guys that played with me, he came down to Florida and played with the indoor team. He spoke very highly of me, told them about me. They brought me down for a 2-day workout. I ended up making the team. That's kind of how I transitioned down here. And they were called the Osceola Ghost Riders. And that's when I met James Panui, a right-hand man.
All right.
And after that, I just decided to stay down here. It was a good transition because it was a way for me to try to get down here anyway. Right. And so that kind of helped out. And after the season, just never left, got a job, stayed. And that began my football career. After on the off season, Panui would get me to play. Actually, our first season, he was like, "Oh, you want to play flag?" I was like, I was like, "Yeah, I'll play,"
Sure,
and,
why not? Let's try it out.
And since then, the rest was history. I was like, 2007?
Yeah.
So now here we are, 2024. But yeah, 2007 when the career began, when TB emerged and the Dick became on scene.
Before we get more into that, I know you're, on social media and stuff, I know you make time for going to your reunion, especially for college. What college was it that you attended?
Benedict College, HBCU, Columbia, South Carolina. Kind of skeptical at first, but everything happens for a reason. I'm a firm believer in that.
It's cool.
And all 4 years was a great experience. Interesting story. After my first year there, my offense coordinator, because we have our exit interviews every year for our scholarships.
Yeah.
And he was like, Button, in college they called me by my last name. He was like, Button, tell me your story. I was like, what do you mean, Coach? He was like, we love to have you here. It was great. You're a great athlete. You're a diamond in the rough. But, and someone like you, how'd you get to a school like this? Because you could be elsewhere. So I pretty much told him, took my SATs late, got a little behind. You guys offered me a full ride, easier on the household. So, why not?
Happened.
Right. Why not? And it turned out for the better. And he was like, okay. He's like, I won't be surprised if you're not here next season, because he thought I was going to transfer.
Yeah.
But I didn't, and they actually gave me more money for coming back in addition to my academics. So, it was good, man. I was blessed, fortunate, and I'm happy about it. So, BC, I appreciate y'all, man. Thank y'all.
Yeah, man. Good experience on that, man.
Yeah.
People know you on the flag field, man. Especially me, when I met you, I played against you. I remember the first day, man, you were just towering over us, man, jumping all over the place, jumping out the building. But before that, when you played college ball or you played down here, what was your primary position? Because I don't think I've ever, CA, I know he played running back. Mm-hmm. Jarvis, J5, played wide receiver.
Right.
What did you play?
Up until college, even in college, I played wherever they needed me. Primary running back.
That was your primary, okay.
But I was one of the star athletes. Mm-hmm. So usually in high school, on defense, whoever their star player was, that's where I was. So if he was a receiver, I went to corner. If he was a running back, I went to linebacker. So I just played wherever they needed me.
Oh my
in high
goodness!
School.
So it's the same thing.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy how that worked out. And then I actually got recruited in college for a linebacker. I was the only true freshman in my class that played as a freshman. And then the last 3 games of the season, running backs were getting hurt, had some injuries. And on my film, they saw that I also played running back. So I transitioned to running back the last 3 games and rushed over 1,000 yards, broke the school record, and then came back my senior year, broke my own record, and then broke the single season single game rushing record. So, but yeah, running back was what I played. Running back.
That was your
Yeah,
primary.
yeah.
Oh my goodness. You played arena, right?
Mhm.
You said you played arena. Who'd you play arena for?
So I did indoor ball with Osceola Ghost Riders. Then I did A2 ball with the Fortified Cats. And then from there I went to the Carolina Speed in Charlotte. So I played with those 3 teams. Interesting thing is that for me going in indoor, you know, running backs are like another lineman or like a fullback. So me going to how I was a lot of teams were very skeptical because of my size.
Right.
So, but they, you know, brought me into camp, I did my thing, especially with the Firecats. You know, the coach there was like, you know, I'm weighing in like at 208,
Yeah.
you know, before camp. So, you know, you're going to lose all of that. And by the time end of camp I was like maybe 210, maybe pushing 200.
Yeah.
But I held my own, you know, when it came down to blocking, I was just like a big back. And then when I got the ball, I was better than because I was fast.
Right.
And it's funny because the linebackers from Ghost Riders and Firecats would always be like, check, Speedy's in. Check, Speedy's in. So that was good times, man. But
Good times, yeah.
also because I was a running back that, you know, could also catch, they also put me out at the receiver position. So
you'll go to slot sometimes or whatever, motion out there.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I would take it upon myself, you know, when I'm doing my training, I would work on route running. So I did it all on my own, just got out early in the morning at 5 a.m. I would do my workouts at the end. I would go through the route tree and just kind of work on my craft. That goes with a lot of things I say to a lot of the younger guys, man, like master your craft. Whatever you're great at, master it.
Master it,
Be
right.
great at it.
Even if it's just that one thing,
Right.
you know, when you do it, be 100% at it. Know that, you know, even if that's your go-to, be the best at it.
Right, that
because,
part.
you know, that small thing can get you to certain places.
Yeah, for sure.
Speaking on that, you know, you played a lot of years of flag and, you know, competitively, so to speak. What format did you start playing flag? Was it 7s? Was it 5s? Like, what introduced you first into that?
8 co-ed first.
Okay.
8 co-ed because I played with Panui, so you got
Okay,
with sport and
yeah.
social. Funny introduction to that. When Panui called me to play one time, he's like, hey, you want to play flag? I was like, all right, yeah. He's like, well, team's not really that great. It's going to be me, you, and you got this one girl. Everybody else, they're just like they don't play. They just say
just know what to
right.
expect.
So I was like, all right, I'm coming out of here, you know, getting stressed up. And I'm looking at the team we playing. You know, it was a moment like of necessary roughness when the convicts are coming out in the car and, you know, the bus. And it's like, that's what we playing? So this is like when I met Brew, and that's when I had Cacique and all these players. They're looking like stock and built. You know, and I was looking at our sideline. It's just me, Panui, and the one girl, and everybody else was like, all right, here he goes.
Yep.
And then, so the very first play, he was like, hey, man, hit him with a post. I was like, all right, and Brew's at safety. So, okay, bam. Hit him a post, he scored a touchdown. Come back on defense, we stopped them. He came back, he was like, do a post corner. I was like, all right, post corner, touchdown. And then he got back, they scored the next possession. He came back, he was like, hey, do a PCP. I was like, all right. So the PCP scored. And then the last time he came back, he was like, hey, do a post corner. I was like, what? He was like, just do it. I was like, all right, post corner, score it. And then Brew's at safety, so all of it was on Brew. So he was mad. I'm just laughing. And Brew will tell you the story to the whole time. It's like, man, it was unfair how I met TB, man.
Well, you know what's crazy? It's first of all, you know, it was a long time ago when Brew was playing safety. That was a long time ago.
That was a long time ago.
That was a long time ago.
That's when I was I was fresh on the scene. Like,
and
nobody,
I know how upset
man,
Brew
he was
gets.
hot.
I know how Brew, even now, so I know.
He was cussing at his team and everything, but it's like, you're at safety. Like, this is you.
That's how Brew met you, and then that's how that's when I first saw you. So I was like, man, this guy's a freakish. What's he doing out here? Like,
Yeah.
I got upset. I was like, you shouldn't be out here. You should be in the pros. You should be playing college ball. You know what I mean? But I go back and I was like, man, was that before your apocalypse days, or is that or after, or
No,
during?
before. Around that time, like I said, I had just moved down, new to the scene. Panui knew me, introduced me to flag. So when I did come out to 7s, I played with UCF. And that's when we had junior quarterback. That's when Baruti and them was still in school. So I played with Baruti. Yeah, I played with all
Junior who used to play with Spartans, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So that's how I got cool with Garfield, all the UCF boys, because I played with them for so many seasons. And then playing with them is how I met Nate. We played against them.
Yeah.
And then Junior would always throw a jump ball. And then he was like, oh, we got one of them too.
I heard that story.
And,
Yeah.
The next year they turn around, look up, you see Nate up top. I was like, well, it's gonna be a long game then because we're going back and forth. But that's how I met Nate and
That's how
E.
you met it. Yeah. You know, we're playing in leagues and all that stuff. When did Apocalypse take off for you, at least? This episode is sponsored by Elite Flags. Are you looking to elevate your team's game with top-notch uniforms and apparel? Look no further than Elite Flags. Whether you're gearing up for the big tournament or just need to refresh your team's look, Elite Flags offers premium quality team uniforms and apparel designed to make you stand out. With their dedication to superior materials and customization, you'll not only look your best, but feel your best too. Head over to their Instagram at elite.flags to explore their range of custom designs and take your team's performance to the next level. Uniforms for all sports and ages. Elite Flags for the elite.
So here's the story with that. So in the midst of me playing sevens in Winter Park, you know, they kind of seen a new guy on the scene, like he's a great athlete, whatever. We're gonna bring him on. So in states, Panui actually played with Emory and them. And this was Horsemen. This was before Apocalypse Arise, because at the time, Horsemen's were it in states. Like
that was Booby, Trip.
Yeah, that's when Booby and them was in their prime, you know, or either like the back end of their prime, but they were still holding it down. So I was able to get invited on there. The crazy thing about it is, they put me on defense. Because like they
on
had,
Horsemen.
Right, on Horsemen. Because like they had the players, you know, like they had their roster, everybody set. So I'm the new kid, so you know I gotta earn my stripes. So just put me wherever, you know, to be out of that corner.
Sounds like
position.
college, put you wherever.
So you know, I just got my love, my shine there. And then 2008 was my first time playing in UFSTL.
Oh, okay.
And that blew my mind because I didn't know anything about that. After that was over, like I'm calling back home. I'm like, man, look, I don't know what's going on, but there's this flag down here. You would think it's the Olympics. Like, I'd never seen anything like it. So I'm telling everybody back home because we don't know. Like, not in South Carolina. We don't have nothing like that. But apparently Apocalypse saw me playing, and they tried to reach me. They tried to get me then.
Okay.
Like, hey, man, we see you playing. Matter of fact, it was Reggie.
Okay.
Because at the time, Reggie was their star. Like, he was the go-to guy. And he was like, yeah, man, you know, you're a great athlete. We like to, you know, come get you, whatever. You come play with us. I was like, yeah, all right, man. I said, my boy brought me out here. I'm pretty much with them. So, you know, unless anything else go sideways, then, you know, I'll holler at you. But until then, this is what I'm rocking with. So I was like, all right, man, we respect that, you know.
And by the way, you've always been that way.
Yeah.
Because I know the times you play with me or you play with No Fly or you play with Apocalypse, I know you've always been a man of your word. And the reason why I'm saying that's missing a lot in today's game.
That's a whole other topic.
Yeah. So, you know, first of all, I know you've been that way for a long time. And I know that because I know me and you have that understanding. Yeah. You know, so, but yeah.
You know, my pops always says at the end of the day, all a man has his word.
Yes.
You can't keep your word, you can't keep anything. So that's just how I am, that's how I was brought up. So if I tell you I'm going to play with you, and we ain't got nobody, it's just going to be us. Dude, you know?
It's going to be us.
You're going to rock the season out like this.
Exactly.
We're going to figure it out.
Right.
So, but yeah, so that's how that transpired. So with Horsemen, at the time, like I said, they were like on the back end. So we were trying to get like, you know, an Orlando team. So we was trying to combine the UCF guys and, you know, the Horsemen to make a states team.
Right.
But at the time, those guys, like, they didn't want most of the UCF guys to play, but it's like the best person to play in that spot. And at the time, it was most of the young boys, but they didn't want to hear that.
Yeah.
So, you know, it became a situation, and then they wanted us like, okay, we're ready to practice. I was like, all right, cool. At that time, I was playing with Drake in Winter Park.
Yeah, I remember that.
And the season
team
had started, and I'm ready 2 games in.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, well, you just leave them and come with us. I was like, nah, I don't operate
you don't
like
do that. Yeah. Because I think it was you and Nate?
Yeah, me and Nate was, you know, playing on Drake. And like, we won a lot of championships with them.
Yeah.
And they was like, oh, we got to get to practice. How we going to get to practice? Y'all ain't, you know, going back and forth. Y'all not serious about this. I'm like, bro, any other league we go in, I'm more than welcome to play with. But I'm already with these boys.
Committed.
I already told them. So after the season, yeah, we can do it.
Yeah.
They didn't want to hear that. You know, one thing became another thing. I was like, cool, whatever. And Nate was the first one to go to Apocalypse.
Okay.
And he played with them. And he played a season with them, and I stayed with Emory and them.
Okay.
The next season, that's when all the turmoil happened. He came and got me and Panui. He's like, oh, we can get both of them. So he brought me and Panui over. And the crazy thing about it is he went back. So he brought us over and he went back.
He went back to the Horsemen? Wow, okay.
And then so we did a season like that, and then he came back to Apocalypse.
Okay.
And that's when all 3 of us stayed.
Okay.
But in that transition as well, they only had me playing one way, which was defense. And
which how I met him, because he was Nate, right?
Yeah.
Because Nate was only playing defense, because back then in the contact league, when Tone had it, That's where I met him. He was playing for a team called Sela.
Yeah.
He was always wearing shades, and he didn't play offense because people didn't think he can catch. And it was funny because I was playing receiver and he was playing corner, and I was like, he was playing corner, I was playing receiver. And, these guys can't hang with me. Like, because it was just me and a bunch of white boys on the Gators team. And then so to me at that time, I had the best quarterback. I had Brandon.
Right.
Brandon was a speedster. He could throw. He could make any throw on the field.
He could.
So
man.
I had my cousin blocking. I'm like,
I like me.
Yeah,
I like me.
Yeah.
Of course,
I'm
you're
like,
supposed
oh my
to.
God. So, that's where I was like, okay, no, this guy can play. You know what I mean? Like Nate, and Nate would hold it down. So, but it's funny. That's how I met him.
No, because then, so with Nate, then that's how I got Antonio's league.
Yeah.
And I played with Sela for one season.
Yeah.
And then that's when Nate got his own team with E and all of them.
And they called it Dynasty.
Yep, Dynasty.
I remember that team.
And then that's why I was like, he played with me at corner. He's like, it's contact, you can jam, whatever. He's like, man, go hang out. He's like, they're going to try you because you're the new booty. I was like, it is what it is. So.
You're going to try you,
I got a lot of interceptions that season, too.
Yeah, I bet you did.
I got a lot of interceptions. And from there, when I would travel with, the Horsemen and Emery and them, because everybody had their spots, it was hard for me to get on offense.
Right.
And at that time, I was, young, hot-headed. I'm like, man, I need to be out there. I'm better than all these dudes, and as any young kid would be,
yeah. We've all gone through that.
Right, and I understand, I got to earn my stripes, but y'all see what I can do in league. Y'all already know this ain't no surprise.
Right.
Put me in, and he said, "Jump ball comes.
Let me spin.
Let me do my, let me do my thing." But they didn't show me no love. And at one stage turn, I said, "Man, I'm done." And they was like, "No, come on over here." So he brought and they brought me on a deal and kept me there. I was like, "All right, cool. I'm gonna roll with you because you're my dog."
It was Brian, right? Brian was your quarterback back then.
It was Brian and it was Brad and Brian. Rest his soul, but Brad too.
Okay.
Brad and Brian. So depending on what we're doing, they both would just intertwine.
Gotcha.
And back then Brian was still younger, and in college years Brian was actually a track star.
Right.
So he had a lot of people slept on him, but he could run. Like he could move for white boy that looked like he played golf. He had some wheels on him.
Trust me. Yeah, and I seen that a couple of times because I know we didn't get into states till a couple years later, which the first time going with no fly zone because I didn't know about USFTO. I didn't know all these other tournaments existed, and I'm like, let it fly.
Yep.
I never knew that.
Yes.
North versus South.
Yep.
I never knew that.
Yep.
I was playing locally, so I was like, man, I felt like I missed out. But thanks to Fletch, we were able to states. Oh yeah, come play state. I've heard it mentioned, but back then it wasn't social media or people put it on. It was word of mouth.
Yep.
So because of that, and it's crazy because you guys, when you were on Apocalypse, with 7 guys, TB, you guys would win a whole weekend.
Yep.
With Brian on defense. You guys made comebacks from being down 3 to 4 touchdowns in 7-man.
Yep.
And I'm sitting here thinking, I'm like, okay, that's when I first knew there's levels to this.
Right.
And then after that, I believe when you and Nate came to play with us locally, you guys would play with us locally, we learned a lot, and I was really appreciative of that because I'm like, I thought I knew. Even when I played with Fletch, I had years.
Right.
I already had years ahead of Fletch playing. So I thought I knew.
Knew the game, right.
But then you guys came along, I was like, okay, I don't know. And you learn so much. You learn where to be at the right spot, right time. I learned different defenses. I'm like, what is this? This is a whole new level. Because, that's all we played down here was 7s before 5s and all that kicked off. So
7s was it.
You go to Apocalypse. How many state championships have you won?
7 with Apocalypse.
7 state championships in a row.
Yeah.
How many in total?
Oh, wow. It's funny you said it because
in total.
Because
I know you guys were a dominant team. Because I think 6 straight maybe.
Yeah.
6 or 7 straight.
So we had 6 straight. We would have had 8. We had 6 straight, and then believe it or not, all TDs, 4-man team from Miami, they signed up for 7s
that
at
was
one
that
season.
Year.
And they came, and we had to double dip them, and we beat them the first game. They got us the second game. And honestly, it could have went either way. It was a freak last play, and Jaime being Jaime, he does what he does. Like in his younger years, he was the guy. So, and
was that back in 2010?
20, I want to say 2010 or 2011.
You know what's funny? My first state game for sevens was against them, and they only had 6 guys.
Yep.
And I went in, I was like, oh, and they were ranked 1 and then I remember E telling me, because I saw E there, Sewell, he's like, oh, what's up, Ruben? Because me and Sewell known each other for a long time. We're from the same Pine Hills area.
Right.
And he's like, oh man, nice to see you out here. He's like, yeah, we're out here playing or whatever. And back then, you just played.
Yep.
You just played and you got seated according to.
Yep.
He's like, who you guys playing? I was like, oh, all reigning TDs or whatever. He goes, oh, okay. And then I was like, yeah, I saw on the paper they're ranked 1. He goes, rank is just a number. He goes, that's just a number. He goes, don't worry about it. So then I was like, all right. Man, they were bombing us up from the get-go with 6 guys. And we thought, we were like, we ain't losing to these guys. So I guess that's maybe the season that you guys lost.
Yeah, no,
I didn't know.
They only did 1 season. And we were mad because they didn't come back because we wanted to get revenge. We wanted to get them back.
They don't know. We wanted it back.
Man, they went and done, man. Which, shout out to them because they came in because they're a 4-man team.
Yeah.
And they came.
That's what I heard. They're like, oh, they're from, but their plays were
So
crazy.
they actually condensed their field. They turned 7 into 4, even though they had 6 people. And that's when you saw the 3 and 4 moves. Like I remember, like my first time at corner, I had this one dude. I called him Justin Bieber because he looked just like Justin Bieber. Man, he hit me with a hitch, go, stop, slant. I was like, you got to be kidding me, bro.
Wow.
And like after that, I was like, I got to be on my P's and Q's.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's the first time I got hit. I'm like, double move routes, I'm on that.
Yeah.
3 or 4, at that time, people weren't doing, not in flag.
Yeah.
At least, and not a 7-man. Maybe 4-man, but not a 7-man. But
I think they just used one side of the field to shorten it to run their 4-man plays.
They were smart. They were smart. They made sevens their game, condensed the field, and they got them a championship. So kudos to them for making that adjustment,
cool,
man.
Yeah.
Because it's not easy going from 4 to 7 or vice versa. Because it's a different, if you don't play it, you're learning as you go along. But they were able to adapt very quickly. So
okay, it's safe to say more than 10 state titles you've won. Right? Because you were alone, you almost had that with Apocalypse.
Yeah.
Alone, you almost had that with Apocalypse, and then you had some with KOF.
Yep.
Yeah, so yeah. You had how many national championships?
National, let's see, I got 3 co-ed.
And we're going back USFTL.
Yeah. Like even if you go to UFSTL, like, because then that's when 8 co-ed was it. Like, it was 7-man and 8 co-ed. Those were the 2 tops at that time.
Okay.
And I won 3 8 co-eds. At that time, I didn't do much 4-man or 5-man. 7-man, those didn't come along till later when they kind of split and it became.
Right.
And then I got plenty of 4s, 5s.
Got a couple under your belt.
I mean, and then they did worlds and they did nationals, so it just becomes a whole bunch of.
I got you.
And honestly, like it's so much to count. I don't. Yeah, I just like at this point, I just like to play, like to win, and at the so.
Yeah, no, definitely. So, people know you by TB, but you got your other AKA, Dip King. Okay, and you're notoriously known for that, T, because you've gotten a lot of people. We all been victims of it. And thanks to you, we kind of learn how to deal with it from other players, because come up to those players to approach them and to get the flag. You didn't have that move during Apocalypse days, early Apocalypse days?
No, I did.
You did?
Yeah.
So, okay, so if you had that, where did you get it from?
When I was playing 8 co-ed, one of my guys that I play with, because I play with my company, they got a team up. Mm-hmm. He was like, man, every time someone gets your flag, you do a little dip. And I never noticed it, but it's like, yeah. And he's like, every time I watch you, and you, pretty much when TB gets the ball, everyone just stops and want to watch the show.
Right.
But it's like you do a little subtle dip, like you always drop your hips. I was like, oh, I never really paid attention to it. And then like one game, I was like, oh, he's right. I actually do that. Mm-hmm. So I've been doing it the entire time and never ever noticing. And then at that point, like I never practiced it, but like I just like in game time, I just started like doing crazier things to see what would work and what wouldn't.
Right.
And that's when I would do a full squat and spin out, or do a
crazy.
Lunge or do a reverse spin lunge and then dip, and then so it just became like an experiment. Only when I played, like I didn't practice any other time, but when I played, I would do this.
Yeah.
And it got to a point to where like I was like, man, how do you know what to do when to do? Yeah. I was like, my brain.
Your reaction is already there.
Well, my brain is processing things so fast at that time. I had it down to a science to where if I had one guy that was coming, I already knew what I was going to do. If I had 2 guys coming, I knew what I was going to do.
Because you're looking at the angles,
Right.
and if you're going to squeeze in between, or
Right,
if you're
exactly.
gonna,
And if I had 1 here, 2 here, no matter how they were, I already knew what I was going to do before I even got to them. So it was just like reading a book. It's like, all right, now it's time to do this and do that.
Yep.
You know, it's like
you see it ahead before
Right.
you do it. Like
and
you
it's
already
like,
know.
how do you? I said, I'm real with you. I don't know. My brain just does that, so I can't explain that part.
Yeah.
But this is how I know what to do, when to do, how to do, and I know it's gonna work because of this.
Gotcha.
And like, you know, the reigning joke was like, anytime I get the ball, it's like, oh, the first man I never put my flag. I always tell them that. Like, even, and no matter where we played, it was like, oh, whatever. I was like, all right, I was like, I'm not worrying about you. And the second man, he had 90% that he's not gonna put my flag. Now come 3 and 4, all right, we might be at 50-54. But I said the first 2 people will never put my flag unless y'all come at the same time, and one of you gonna miss, the other one's gonna get it. But just so you know.
I mean, you're known for that, man. You did a small thing for that in AFFL the first year when you guys played for the Million. Yeah, a little tutorial. So I thought that was pretty cool, man, because you're here from Orlando, you live in Orlando, and you're putting us on a map like that. Right. I've always thought that was pretty cool.
That was definitely a highlight of my career too, with the AFFL. NFL taking the time to, you know, want to do a spotlight on, you know, the actual move. And even when I did that, you know, dipping 1-on-1, I was like, you know, guys, this is the basics. Like, this is how you want to start.
You're in a lot of commercials of that, man. You're on that AFFL. They have banners of you. They got, you know, snippets of you, you know, just especially against the money team, and you guys, you know, you're bringing in the ball, and you know, you have a little you got a
good time. I mean, look,
it's fun, man. It was fun watching you.
Try to build a resume. You know, one of the things I always wanted to do was leave the game with something. You know, when when it's all said and done. So, you know, if I'm known for that with the dip move, hey, I appreciate it. Thank y'all. You know.
Yeah.
But anyone that comes to me, I always tell them, it's like, you got to make it fit your style of play. You know, like, you can't do it like me, you know, or maybe you can.
Right.
But, you know, and if you can't, you can still do it. You just have to make it fit how you play. And that's how I tell everyone. I think Kurt was one of the first ones, because he was trying, like, he was like, kept trying. I was like, man, look, I was like, make it fit you. Like, however you play, make it fit that. And then that's when he got the little scoot, the foot drag and dip. And after that, I was like, I said, you got it.
I said,
I saw him one game. I said, Kurt, I think you got it. He's like, yeah. He's like, I've been practicing, man. I was like, I see.
Well, they don't know that, you know, when we play in leagues, local leagues, when people say, you guys practice? Nah, those are our practice. Yeah, you know, in league games, those are our practice. That's where you practice, because everything is full speed there. Mm-hmm. You know, people think getting together and running route trees and stuff. No, that's a workout. That's not practice. You gotta line up against a defense and other players to know exactly where you're gonna do that.
You gotta be able to play it.
You were on the USA team. You know, how was that experience for you?
The year that we won AFFL the first year for the $1 million, I actually partially tore my quad in our championship game. Mm-hmm. So that's why if you watch the game, you'll see me like in the first 5 seasons up until like the first quarter, up right before halftime, and then you don't see me again.
Yeah, because I
was trying to go, and it's crazy because how it happened. When I watched it, I was like, man, nothing. How did it happen? And it's going back to it, and like actually thinking about it. I talked to Lefty about it a lot.
Right.
Me and Lefty talked about that a lot, and even with Mariah, in the midst of it, at the point when I was doing the move, the dip and spinning out.
Yeah.
And as I'm coming out, one of the guys came in hard, and he kneed me in my quad. And we're thinking at the point of me exploding, having an explosion coming from my quad, and him hitting it.
It all happened at the same time.
Right, it was a chain reaction. It was just too much. And that's how I got a partial tear.
Oh, okay.
So, but USA team at that time, 2018, they were in Panama.
Okay.
And I know something happened with some of the guys. I didn't have passports, didn't have this, so they were calling. And Frankie was one of them.
Okay.
And also Corey Webb was one of them too. He got called up. In that transition, they both won. And one of the coaches was asking, I think Mariah got a ride back with them. They were just talking. And it's like, yeah, I was talking to TV. And the coach was like, you know TV? He's like, yeah. I was like,
sure.
Yeah. He's like, oh, man, I would love to get to know him, this, then the third. Fast forward, come time, I got an invite to come try out. At that time, the tryout was actually not how it is now, but it was more so a scrimmage.
Oh, okay.
So you would go to these tournaments, and they would select people. And then They brings people into it's called the International Bowl at the time.
Was it the one at the Cowboy Stadium?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
okay,
yeah.
okay. So okay, I did watch you play.
So so that was the first one, and they separated the teams, and we had stars and stripes, and whoever make it to the championship, that team would be representing Team USA
okay.
in the midst of
that is different than how they run it now.
Right.
Wow.
Right.
Okay.
So we end up winning that, and if you see that picture, that was the same squad that was.
Oh yeah, you're right.
We went to Israel.
Right. That is.
And granted, Israel was the last one because COVID happened, so it pushed everything back because we were supposed to go to Denmark.
Yeah.
That's when we were supposed to go to Denmark, and then after Denmark, we had another place in, I think, Spain that we were going to go to. And then that got pushed back because, with COVID. And Israel was the last one. If that didn't happen, they was all right, guys, we might just have to, try it again and get a new squad because here it's 2 years,
Right.
And this is the cusp of it because back then it was every 2 years that they made the selection.
Right.
And it was good for 2 years. Now it's every year to do it. But, man, that whole experience, even with International Bowl, playing in Cowboy Stadium, because that was my first time in Cowboy Stadium.
Oh, and you're a big Cowboys fan.
Yeah,
you're a big Cowboys fan, yeah?
I soaked all of that in. I talked about I went in the locker rooms. I recorded everything.
Oh, yeah, of course.
I was calling my mom.
You were fanboying at that time.
Look,
yeah, you were fanboying.
I was a kid in the candy store. I'm calling my mom. I'm videoing. I was like, Mom, look at this.
Yeah.
So that experience alone was
Cool,
humbling, man. I was very appreciative of it. And, even at that time, I was younger, but, still, I was still, on the backside.
Yeah.
So I was appreciative to still do that at my age there, too.
You know how it was for me seeing you on there? Because I was like, man, I play with that guy, or I play with and against him, and it's crazy because you start seeing when you're on there, when Velt's on there, when any of the guys that are local on there, and you guys are lining up against another team. I was like, man, those guys do not know what they have coming. And it's funny because I'll call out the move, right? I was like, I already know what TV can do, right?
Right.
So
you already know our tendencies.
I already know the tendency. I was like, it's almost like I'm controlling them, circle to dip, bit, and it's spin, and it's it's funny because that's just what goes through my mind. And again, that's. I'm admiring all that because I'm like, that's cool that you guys get that spotlight,
right?
That you deserve to be on there.
Yeah,
there's a lot more guys that can get opportunities as well, but unfortunately they got to put themselves out there a little bit more, and some have the time and some don't, and some just don't care, and that's the honest truth.
It's just honestly real. It's just if you really want it.
Yeah, exactly.
If you want it, you're gonna make time for it.
Yeah,
if
exactly.
you don't, you won't.
I've always thought that was pretty cool, man, and where do you through all the things that you've done throughout your flag career, the wins and everything, what has been the one moment that you remember the most? There's
a few of them because even with the USA went to Israel, just that whole experience alone, go to that homeland, see the culture,
right?
And even though it was still COVID, we still got they were able to make things happen where we could tour and see.
That's cool, man. That's cool.
And just getting to see the other players, and all of those guys are good people. When you're not on the field, it's different. You're not a competitor anymore. So everybody, you're trying to get to know everybody, and then at the end of it, they have a big, huge party.
That's cool. They welcomed you guys really well there.
Right. So they did, but during the ceremony, it was kind of because they look at us like. They respect us, but they want to beat us, kind of like how the Patriots were. Yeah. It's like we respect y'all, but we want to beat y'all.
Gotcha.
So, but even still, they still show love, and
that's cool, man. That's cool. I can imagine I would say between that and probably AFFL, the Million and going against all those guys, Mike Vick and Chad Johnson and all those guys on TV, because you guys were on TV, man.
Yeah. So each one of the AFFLs has this, special moment because the first one, all the flag players knew, but the world they thought we wasn't gonna get it.
You guys were the average Joes, and to little be known,
right?
The pros were the
exactly.
average Joes. You guys in flag, that's playing your game.
Exactly. So and up until that point, me and Carmouche were, I think, the two top receivers in the league because they had put up some stats. And granted, even though I didn't get to finish the game, but just that alone, that was a just an amazing experience, and all the opportunities we got after that. You know, we were able to go to the Pro Bowl, something I always wanted to do.
Yeah.
I was in the Pro Bowl, played in
Yeah.
celebrity, flag.
Make a game,
So like
yeah.
all those things start coming about. So that's why the first one was special, because the opportunities we got.
Exactly.
The second one, it didn't go as long, so like wasn't as many rounds. But then, that's when the pros kind of got wise. They had flag guys.
You guys faced a little adversity there.
Right. So in playing with them, we got down at one point. It was
Yeah.
like, these boys ain't gonna come back. But little by little, it was like, look, man, we got this. So one play at a time.
That's what that apocalypse mentality came, where
kicked
like,
in,
we're coming back.
Right, like so, and like even with the onside, like when he called the onside play, I already knew. I was like, oh, I'm gonna get this, because
Did you run a dig?
it was more like a
post settle?
right.
I gotcha. See, I know the moves.
The crazy, but here's the thing though, they had already switched 4 different DBs on me,
Yeah.
so I already knew because the guys that could, they wasn't gonna put on me because there's too much liability of other people.
Yeah.
So they was like, okay, we can manage, like we can put someone fast on them, but they don't know how to cover. Put someone that can cover, but now they can't handle, like they're not strong enough. So everyone they kept putting on me, I just kept doing it. And the guy that had me on the time, he was a receiver, and I guess he thought he was strong too. I guess he thought he could jam me off the line, but he ended up missing. I took off, and then the safety, he was nowhere to be found. And I already knew who was just going to let it go right at that point, because I had him beaten. The safety was too high.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, I'm jumping up and grabbing this, and ain't nobody else going to get it. And like I tell D about that, I was like, man, look, I said, if you would have been on me, or if you would have been up top, it might have ended differently. Or if y'all would have had J5, because I know how J5 plays.
Yeah.
J5 would have sat at the top and just batted that down.
Yeah.
I said, but y'all didn't have none of that. So I already knew that y'all was going to lose that.
Yeah. Especially
then-
because you even noticed that what the experience is on the other side
Yep.
of what the tendencies that you're used to from a defense, to knowing they're like, oh, this guy's toast. He's not coming down. He's not going to make a play on
Exactly.
Yeah.
And maybe it would have been better if they would have put OC on there, maybe.
Yes.
Because he's a flag guy, he understands. But the guys that kept having on me,
Or maybe D, because D Brown was on
but
there.
they wouldn't have put D on me, because you also had Carmouche.
That's right.
Darius. We had Darius is a throwback, but we had TJ, we had Jason Brown.
Right.
So like, you're not gonna
We're
waste
gonna
that.
put a speedster with a speedster,
exactly.
or try. Yeah.
Right, exactly. So you're not gonna waste that, because if you do, now you're gonna leave him open.
Exactly.
So, and then the third one, I mean, there was all the home team, all the homeboys.
Oh, of course.
Well, we could, we had the apocalypse, we had the souped up, we had the no fly, and for us to combine like that and make it work, like we're all great players. There was no big head, there was no pride. Everybody knew what everybody can do when the time came. Hey, you need to be in. Oh, you need to be in. You need to do this.
Right. Everybody
And
knew what everybody could do.
It just worked, man. It just worked. And shout out to Fletch for making Nate and Fletch for making all that happen.
Yeah, man.
And I was so sweet about it, because even at that time, like, things weren't working out for us. Like the whole jersey swapping thing, and like it was like little things that nobody's seen on the outside that really did affect us coming up. And we just had to keep our cool.
Yeah.
Fletch had to come and address us.
That's cool.
And like,
yeah.
and each time we had to come over some other adversity. And then like you watch the game before, they're doing all the sleeves and stuff, and then we come out, oh, y'all can have this, y'all can have that. But other people doing it. So, that was a very big one. And then also for us to, lose that first one to Freaks, like, because at that point we thought the game was over.
Yeah.
And, Mark came, he had a talk with us, like, man, look, we got this.
Yeah.
We need to have this. And like, for us to come together, have a meeting, and then to bounce back and like, all right, you know what? We know what we did. Now let's come out there and let's play our game. And that's like what it was. And that was just sweet joy.
Yeah, that's cool.
Sweet
man.
joy.
Before we end the T, I want to end it on this. On your thought, you were supposed to be playing AFFL Pro. On your opinion, what do you think happened there with all that? Because you were on it. You're supposed to be on the Nighthawks, playing with Velt. What do you think? I thought it was good to go. Everything was set up. I thought, publicity and all that for it was great. Again, this is my opinion. I thought the owners and everybody knew there was only going to be a couple teams. They still went ahead to promote it. You had players from other teams going on news, on TV to market, the AFFL league, and then just to go from hours to letting you guys know it was canceled. Like, how do you feel about all that?
Disappointed, more so than anything. Thought it could have probably been planned better if that was the case. From my understanding, it was something happened last minute, out of their control. Something that they couldn't deal with it, or whatever the case may be. And for me, maybe it was the finances of it all. Maybe one of the guys backed out. Who knows? But in the midst of it, it had to be something financially, because the season didn't happen.
Right. Right.
And I felt like maybe you could at least let the first game happen. To kind of see, because even if that was the case, maybe after that first game things start to pick up.
Yeah.
I do know like within business, you're not going to see what you want to see, the revenue in the first year, not even in the second year. So you got to plan for that to not either have some type of loss or either just break even to be great.
Right.
But I don't know what the case was with that. They told us like the Thursday before the Monday we were actually have our first official practice, but I felt like they should at least let the first game happen, and if it didn't happen, like guys, okay, we tried, didn't work out.
Turn out the way
it doesn't look like we can be able to do the rest of the season because what we were expecting is not happening.
Right.
Cool. At least you give some of the guys that did buy in, which was pretty much all of us, and took a leave of absence from our job or either left our jobs and relocated and did all that, because you got to keep that in mind too. And it's just unfortunate because, some guys...
They were looking forward to that.
They
were looking forward to that.
And they were looking for that money. They were looking for all of that because, you promised this, and it was very grateful for guys to leave their job. Obviously, they were getting paid more from there than they were going to get their job.
Of course.
And they feel like they could sustain that. And even when the season was over, I would have enough to either go back to my job, find something else, or I would have been good. That's why I'm making the sacrifice to leave. Right. And then for that not to happen, and they already did that, And
it's just like the last minute thing, because then you would think they would give more time. It would have been better maybe like a week earlier to let people know. Maybe they'll give them time to either go and get their jobs back.
Right.
And I hear the chatter. Some people's like, oh, these guys left their jobs. But you don't understand what these guys do, like what they're doing. Maybe they hate their job and they have to be there, but now they're getting paid just the same or more doing something they love. You have to think about that. And so you can't really fault those guys for doing that. At the same time, those guys that didn't leave their jobs, they're planning to go away from their families, their time.
Right.
You don't know what's going on in other people's lives. Maybe they're not with their families. Some are divorced and they have their time with their kids that weekend, and they gotta leave. And they're doing that. Like, people don't understand what other people are going through, and then to make that time, that sacrifice, because they're doing that for flag football and other means to survive and to make it out. So, that it happened. Like, I get it. Things happen. It's all in the business world and so forth. Should it be giving more time? I believe so. At least that's what in my opinion, I believe you guys are owed more than that, to be like, because you guys were giving jerseys, you guys were doing photo shoots, you guys were doing this. I'm like, this is about to happen.
Right.
Everybody in the flag world was getting ready to watch it. Not faulting AFFL because, I believed in the brand. I mean, I in a way I still do, because I hope they come back stronger and better than what they were planning, and I respect it from all they've done.
The younger guys, you take that risk because, this is something you love to do. Man, I can get paid this much for just playing flag. Like, this is something I love. Yeah, you're going to take that risk. Because when I was their age, I did take that risk. Granted, it was with Arena, because at that time, Arena, it was week to week. They was bringing players in 2-day waivers, and players because I seen some come in and take a person's spot that was there, and vice versa. So I understand you take that risk. When you're in the back end, you're a little older like myself. I was like, I don't have a family, so I can't be away from my kids like that. So I chose the option of traveling back and forth, working out with my job schedule. So did it affect me? No. because I was able to keep my job.
Right.
But for the others, it did affect them, and some of them a lot, and it hurt them very bad. But like you said, the support. Most times in this case, most people don't attend until it's close.
Right.
Like right now, the season's far out. So yeah, you're not going to see that. But that first game, you would have saw like that week of.
Yeah.
You saw tickets being bought.
Right.
Like even with my family, I told them like, oh, hold up, like, our home game's not till May 18th.
Right. Right.
So they were looking, it's like, okay, well, we want to get. So they were looking to get my jerseys.
Yeah.
They want to do all of that. So I'm
Same.
like, yeah, you could do that. So I asked them, and they was going to let us know. But that's when we had to call. But like I said, it's just the risk you take, with anything. Even when AFL first came, $1 million. Nobody thought they was going to have $1 million tournament.
Yeah.
And for us to come in and win it. And then the second year, they want to have more teams, but, they decreased the money.
Well, I think the first time, too, because NFL was involved in it.
Right.
So I think it was a sure backing of that, right?
Oh, yeah, of course. They had a lot more sponsorships. But I do know, like, they were expecting to win and probably absorbing that money or most of that money to go back into the league to make things happen. And when we won, it maybe threw a wrench in it. That's how I felt.
Yeah.
My things kind of went their way they did the second season. But even still, $200K is still more than what anybody was offering.
Anybody was making, right? Exactly.
So, and I know like more people bought into it. It's like, okay, I want to play. So I thought like they had a good product. And I was like, man, it can only go up. It can only go up. Even if it's $200K, tell me someone that's not going to play for that, By them taking that year off, I was like, okay, yeah, maybe this is going to, work out. They took the year off, got this, is going. We have practices. We have all these OTAs. I'm like, all right, all right,
cool,
yeah. So, but, like I said, hopefully they bounce back, get the product right, whether it needs to be the women's to kind of help make it grow, because right now women's is hot.
Exactly.
Let's just face
women's
it.
and youth,
Right.
man. I've always said that women's and youth, man,
So,
and that's coming up.
If that's what it's going to take to get us over that hump,
then fine,
so
do
be
it. Yeah. And then that's what I appreciate for NFL Flag doing, is that, they were focused on youth for a long time, and that's great. And then them bringing in the adult scene, I think that's great too. And they run great tournaments. I don't mind the rules. It's different. It's fun. It's fresh.
Right.
And
it's different.
It's different. And then it just gives us something more to play for, and just to be under that. Oh, you're gonna go play a tournament? Yeah, I'm gonna play an NFL Flag tournament.
Right.
It's cool. But TB, man, I appreciate your time, brother. Anytime we get together, man, we always chop it up, and it's heart to heart.
Of course.
Just before we go, you want to look in the camera and tell any person that's coming off the street, or any young athlete that wants to get into flag, you want to give him any advice. I've always believed you're a good inspiration on how you carry yourself on and off the field, and you're always giving advice to people on the field that are new. Is there anything that you want to say? Anything you can say to them?
First and foremost, take care of your body. Everyone focuses on the working out aspect and getting stronger, getting better, which is good. The key thing to that, though, is the recovery. The recovery is what you got to focus on. Because if you can't recover from what you did, you're not going to be able to produce what you've been training for. So focus on your recovery. Secondly, character. Who you are when no one's watching, people see that. Whether you want to be a face or not, whether you're young or older, even if you're young, you have younger people looking up to you. So, you're in a glass house. Just be mindful of what you do. And for those that's, trying to aspire and get higher and higher, practice what you preach, practice your craft. If you won't be a receiver, be the best at that position. Run your routes, make them crisp, make them look the same. Run a route so you can't get it wrong, not till you get it right. That's the difference. It's the small things. If you're not having fun, then why are you out there? It's supposed to be your getaway. So if that's gonna be your getaway and your safe haven place, then make it that, But other than that, man, this TB signing out. Dip King, appreciate you, Rube. Always love, man.
Always love, brother.
And yeah.
Well, you guys know where you want to find TB at your local field, whether he's in 35 and up, or he's playing regulars, or he's playing on a U.S. team, or playing AFL. This man does it all. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you again, TB. It's Rubicon signing out. Thank you, guys.
Don't test. Don't test. Don't test.